Good morning, everybody. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. We're all in our places with sunshiny faces, and this is the way to start our new day. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing well this morning. My husband will be here as soon as he gets done with whatever he's doing. Uh, let's see here who's here today. Let me know if you're hearing and seeing us clearly today. I'll make sure we are here live and in color.
Live and in color.
Yeah. Come on in the house. Come on in the house. My sis and brother-in-law, hey y'all. Hey, Pastor Norman. Pastor
Norman J.
What's the weather like?
William Card. J. Go ahead, baby. I'm sorry. How's it going?
Yes. Hey, Vernie. Hey, Vern.
Vernie.
That's Kim.
I hope you got that little baby with you today. I like that little baby. That was at the birthday thing.
Hey, Sandra. Hello, Deb.
Deb, Sandra.
Let's see who else. Brother Blue's here.
Brother
Hey,
Blue.
Brother Blue.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. She said she could hear us pretty good and see us too. Well, I'm glad you can.
I can't see y'all.
You can see their pictures.
I don't want no picture. I want to see the real stuff.
Hello, Marvita. I'm glad you're here, sweetheart. I thought about you on yesterday. Hey, Cheryl and Gary.
All right.
The Hingletons.
That's my old buddies, all of my buddies, but I see all of my buddies, brothers.
Your buddies.
I see Brother Cheryl and Sister Gary.
Your buddies, you said.
Yeah, all of my past.
Jill, you back in town, girl. You back in town. You've been road running. Hey, Gerald. Hey, hadn't seen you in a while. Glad you're on here this morning. Well, I tell you, it's been a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Baby girl's down here waiting on a treat. And we didn't sleep at all last night, did we?
We was tossing and turning.
Oh man! I mean, it was one of those nights. I went to bed, but I couldn't sleep, so I got up and started reading. And then I still never got sleepy. I just went on to bed about 12.
Somebody told me you don't read spiritual stuff before you go to sleep, to keep you stirred up.
That's not true for me.
Yeah?
No, it's not true for me.
And then rock sleep or something.
I'm a horse of a different color. Oh. Yeah, so I read, and then when I got in bed, I just couldn't go to sleep. My body just didn't want to go to sleep.
I had to do with it.
So we ended up getting up about 3, didn't we? Both of us. Yeah,
I had to do with it.
And I drank a cup of chamomile tea and read a little bit, and we talked a little bit. I thought I was good and sleepy, and I got back in the bed, and I still didn't want to sleep. So I've been in and out all night. Kind of, you know how you're when you're sleeping, you think you feel like you're still awake the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're sleeping. You're standing over in the corner. Somebody's looking at you. You're looking at yourself.
You're watching yourself trying to sleep. Trying to sleep. That's it. I'm not going to try to sleep.
If you do wake up the next morning, you look at your eyeball. They look bloodshot, like somebody cracked them with a hammer. Bloodshot.
Do mine look bloodshot?
You're pretty.
Let me see.
You're pretty. You look pretty. Don't look. I pull out. You look pretty today.
So I laid there. And I said, I'm not going to even try to go to sleep. I just lay there with my eyes open. And after a while, my eyes got a little heavy, and I finally closed them. But I still was like not fully asleep. No deep sleep last night. So anyway, I don't know how I'm still going. My mind might work and it might not. Don't hold it against me. Do not hold it against me. Hello there, Brother Counselor. Hello, John Greason in the house, and Brother David is in here. David Singleton.
Okay, here's what I just saw.
What did you just see?
I looked down here at Jeremiah 1:17, and it said this. He said, "Thou therefore gird up thy loins and arise and speak unto them all that I command thee."
Now, I can't hear you.
Oh,
I mean, I hear you, but you're kind of low.
Okay, here it is. Before essence or our light bodies real spirit identity. I'm using all these words. Before we came here, now watch this. Now we always been taught in brick and mortar, get the word in you by studying and by teaching and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw while I was sitting here in the mystical identity self, the eternal self.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want you to hear this. And this is strange, but I just heard my intuition spirit reveal the living words of God is based into our fabric before we ever get here to read part of it in the books. I'm not going to say Bible, course, or what, any of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to back up and say it another way. He told Jeremiah, he told many of them in the book, and it said, take no thought, for he will speak. And this is paraphrasing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I just saw every word and every bit of guidance structured into the fabric of the eternal self. That if you go far enough into waking up, sound like I'm saying you do it, but it's God, it's Spirit Grace doing it.
Mm-hmm.
If you go far enough into this, there are words that were spoken, put into us, or just like you making a cake and you put the ingredients in there that make it taste good or whatever it is. Just an example. There are words of living word God. They call it the Rhema and the Logos that's
Mm-hmm.
been put into our light bodies that will, we call them float ups, that will automatically speak through us in conversation, as well as we found out, and Peter said Jesus was the Son of God and flesh and blood didn't reveal it, but the Father. The Father speaking, the speak spoke of the Father is what our eternal self is made out of. So I'm taking you a step further than left brain ego thinking that there's no word of God in us at all until we get saved and study the Bible, the books, and all that, and put it in us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it said in there, his word has he hid in our hearts.
Right.
Now, that heart is not hid in the subconscious. I'm talking about something beyond the subconscious into, like I found out that we are beyond I am.
Okay.
I just found that out investigating last night, that I am puts a limit there. But you are the unlimited identity beyond I am and beyond beingness. So we're going into the heavy stuff when I say that. But I just saw the word of God, or the God word made out of us. There is a word made out of us that's not on paper,
Mm-hmm.
not on ink, not on a microphone, not in a college, not in a school.
Mm-hmm.
It is nowhere. I don't care the deepest, sharpest revelation, accurate revelation that you've heard in gifts of the Spirit, anointings, and all that. There is a word that God is as one of us all, that is beyond any of that. And yet there's a word that comes with us in the package, that if you go far enough into identity with your true self, these words will come forth, and they're called float ups.
Okay. Okay. That's a
You,
lot. That's a whole
yeah, I
lot.
know it's a whole lot, but here's
Yeah.
what happened. I went to a car dealership looking for some parts, and when I walked in, I went into the service department, and it's like I knew I went there for that. And when I got there, I was talking to the lady about church and things like that. And I said, JC is watching you.
Mm-hmm.
She stopped and I looked at her. She got still. And the first look in her face was a pale look. Then all of a sudden she broke out in tears and turned red as the red shirt. And I said, "What is it?" She said, "My father just passed. And do you know what his name was?
What they called him.
What they called him? JC."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "JC watching you."
Mm-hmm.
And she was in church. She knew that. And that thing struck her so real. She had to fight to contain herself at work to keep from actually just breaking down and crying. That's the word of God that is structured into us. And it's symbolic to a tree does not have to force itself to grow leaves.
Mm-hmm.
We do not have to program our heart to beat. We do not have to program our hair to grow on our arms or our head or whatever. These things are automatically built into the spirit. So when we leave our space suit or our dimensional suit, physical body,
Excuse me.
these functions still go on for a while. Because in one of the places in the Bible, it says where one of the ancient prophets' body was laying in the grave, and somebody fell on it, and the life that was in that body still affected whoever touched it.
Mm-hmm.
So the essence of our true word of God self is what we're made out of in spirit and life.
True, true. Yes. Jill asks, is it the speechless word
It
of
is.
God?
It is.
Okay.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, that's part of what I can't say in one word.
Now, see, pastors used to just jump in and hitting the ground running. I'm kind of slow about getting started. Like if you're eating a big meal, I don't want to start with the heaviest part of the meal. I want to start with soup or salad. So, in the meantime, those of you who are slow like me, I want to read
If I ate a
something.
super salad, I'm for it. Go ahead.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
I want to read something to you. I would do a meditation, but because Pastor's already jumped in, we're just going to go with it. This is in a book by a young lady by the name of Nancy Dennison, her near-death experience. And I wanted to just read a few things to you to kind of lay a foundation for what we're talking about today. She said, this chapter is called Wake Up, by the way. She says, by now you may understand that you are a light being, soul, sharing physical life with a human being. But what does that mean in light of universal knowledge? It means we need to redefine ourselves by waking up to the complexity of who we really are versus how we have been acting. Our belief that we are human beings who have souls is backwards.
Mm.
Remember in the church, back in the day, we
Mm-hmm.
taught about spirit, soul, and body, and that was that was considered the meat message. And we taught about the psyche and I remember the young man, I can't remember his name, the minister that talked about suke, the psyche, the soul, and we would say that I am a spirit, I have a soul, and I live in a body. That was the belief system that we had. But then she says here, and I agree with her, she says, our belief that we are human beings who have souls is backwards. We are both soul and spirit. We are not, we don't have it.
That's what I'm talking about the word structure. We don't get it,
Yeah.
but we've been conditioned here to believe that we have to put it in us.
Yeah. So a lot of the things that we think we have, we are.
That's a part of it.
Even the scripture that talks about we have this treasure in earthen vessels. We think we're the earthen vessel. And but we're the we have, but we're not even the we have. We're the treasure.
Beyond.
Yeah. So we're not the vessel. We're not the we have. We are the actual treasure that's in this physical body. And I'm going to read just a little more of this. She says, We are, in fact, light being souls inhabiting human animal bodies. Now that's a mouthful. Human animal bodies. Our bodies are fashioned after animalistic nature of survival, like the animals in the jungle. They're animals. They're there to survive. You know, their whole instinct is survival and procreation. That's all they're here for. Our bodies are pretty much the same way.
Yep.
Procreation and survival. That's it. But we that are in these bodies are not that. We are the light being or soul, if you want to call it soul, spirit, whatever your words are, that inhabit this body. And then she says this: our light being nature makes us capable of multiple layers of awareness, a tool we can use to access our true nature and allow it to influence our behavior choices. It requires only greater self knowledge, a willingness to allow that knowledge to inform our actions, and retraining our bodies to behave as we desire.
Mm-hmm.
So we're the master of these bodies, these animalistic bodies, but we've been pretty much living by the instincts and the desires of these bodies.
The body that was chosen before the foundation of the world
Mm-hmm.
to be formed before the foundation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, this is something. We looked at thousands of evolutions,
Yes.
and each thousandth of evolution, we chose a suit or a form.
Mm-hmm.
This
This
is divine.
animal,
That animal. That's
animal,
right. That's
human
right.
animalistic
That's
body.
right. Now, I'm not saying we chose the one about the dog. I don't know nothing about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I'm not messing with that.
Right.
I'm
That's not
talking
what you're
about what
dealing
do we
with.
got
Yes.
now
Yes.
on the docket, on the table.
Yes.
I saw this when Jesus let me go into, on the other side, a place like a parts house, and I saw the different bodies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
These bodies, we think and been told that the only thing in the spirit world is spirit. Okay,
Yes.
watch this.
Yes.
But spirit, I found out after Jesus was raised from the dead, that he had a body that was tangible because he appeared to the disciples after his resurrection so many times, and they could touch and feel
Mm-hmm.
the places where
Mm-hmm.
the scars
So
were.
it was a literal body,
Yeah.
but it was not made of the same material.
Yeah, I would call it essence material or eternal substance, tangible, perceivable.
I have since learned that not only do we have the physical body, we also have a mental body.
Yep.
We have an emotional
Yep.
body. We have, and then we are a light body.
Yep.
Yeah, we're light
Yep.
beings.
Yep.
Not so much a body, but just light beings.
Yep.
In bodies.
Yeah.
And I don't quote me on this, but there are at least 7 bodies.
That's what we've been finding
At
out.
least 7 bodies that are here
Now.
in this same space. One is a blueprint, and that is the one that has to be healed before the physical body actually has
Now,
healed.
here's another mystery I found out about this. The essence that we are and have always been before the foundation of form, waiting for form to be available for us to choose, or just say choose, which there is a place where there is no choices to be made.
Right.
But
it's beyond choices.
Beyond choices. We decided, or if we say chose, to be this physical form. There is no place for debates and arguments in our eternal essence, which means if you go far enough into this, the deliverances that we call, and Jesus faced it, there were some people that got around him and was automatically set free without casting out any spirit of a by a word of command.
Mm-hmm.
His
Mm-hmm.
presence did one or two things, and that was our presence, and is still our presence. When he walked into certain places where the scribes and the Pharisees were, there were certain energy beings, walk-in spirits, you might say, demons, what are you going to call them,
Mm-hmm.
that automatically exposed themselves and came out. I've had that to happen in the last month or so around certain people. I could hear the things talking out of their mouth,
The energies, yeah.
the energies that
Mm-hmm.
would, and I didn't, it wasn't the everyday conversation. I know the difference between energies and regular conversation,
Yeah.
spirit, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I found out that these energies know who
Can see
we
them.
and they can see
They
who
know
we
who.
are. And I
Yeah.
heard them talk out of people and say, Christians and people in church are so ignorant and foolish. They don't know that we can see what's in them,
Okay. Okay.
but they can't see it in themselves.
Okay.
I've heard these things talk like that.
All right.
It's like channeling, but I
Mhm.
heard it.
Mhm.
And then we caught these things and said, how did you know that? Oh, we've been knowing that. That's what these things say. We've been knowing that. And it's just that people on earth, we try to do everything we can. This is what these things say. We try to do everything we can to keep them from finding this out.
Okay.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
that says that's why when we are present and calm and tuned in, you can see the light around people. Yes, that's exactly right.
That's, girl, I'm going to give you 100.
Mm-hmm.
100 points.
Mm-hmm.
You know that's true. 1,000 points. 1,000,000 points.
Let me read
Okay,
just
go
a
ahead.
little
Go
more,
ahead.
if you
Go
don't
ahead.
mind.
Go ahead.
We are, in fact, beings of light and love. We will wake up as such when our bodies die.
Yeah.
The only reason we do not enjoy the bliss of our heritage while in the body is we allow its animal character to
Mhm.
dominate.
Mhm.
There is nothing inherently wrong with a human being acting solely from its animal nature, but for a light being soul to do so is the equivalent of an eagle deciding to spend its life walking on earth. Like a bird whose nature is to sing and soar, our true nature is to be loving and blissful. We have chosen to walk as earthbound eagles, largely out of ignorance born of amnesia and habit, but both can be remedied.
Mm-hmm.
We can shake off the amnesia by choosing to deliberately wake up to our true nature as light beings now while in the body. And that's what these sessions are all about. Last night I just had the inclination to go back and look at a lot of the CDs that we have, and we don't even have a CD player anymore.
Right.
But I just felt, let me go back and look and see what we have. And I found several.
I didn't tell you,
I
I have
found
one in my closet, a small one.
okay. I found a series that we did back in 2008. What we called it the School of the Prophets for the Modern Mystic.
Yeah.
And when I listen to us, we've been teaching this for over 15 years. And as Sister Pearl always says, much longer than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So our journey toward oneness or waking up, our journey toward uh, this I say consummation of the union has been for years from day one.
Yeah.
Day
Yeah.
one.
It's
Now
a-
our message has evolved.
Yes.
It has evolved. Our understanding, our awareness has evolved. We have come into greater understandings about, and some of the things we would have said 20 30 years ago, we wouldn't even say now because that wouldn't be true for us now. So we moved from dimension to dimension, even in the teachings that we've done. We've moved from one dimension into another. And so, those of you who have followed us from day one, you have followed us into those dimensions and have traveled to that point as well. So now you are able to hear the mystical message that's being preached. Now, Kathy Crombie says, yes, we experience heaven here when we realize there is no sin. That's just an idea and more related to culture. There is just, I don't know what else she wanted to put. She just loves. She put a heart there.
Okay. Okay. Now, these are we're talking about infinite grown folks, infinite conversations.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
We're
mm-hmm,
not talking about
mm-hmm,
teenagers and all that.
yeah,
We're talking about grown folk stuff.
mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm.
Where we came from is what we're made out of. I never thought that each one of us are each other's parents inside, standing on the outside. So that means that if we came or we are structured and made of out of the form of God,
Mm-hmm,
then
mm-hmm,
we came from
mm-hmm.
where and what we are made out of.
Exactly. Yeah.
So heaven is what the real self already is before finding out
Well, let me read.
in the finite self.
Yeah, let me read Nancy Dennison's account of heaven. When she had her near death experience.
Okay,
And
okay.
I want to say this too. When we read out of a book or when we read any book, I've learned to read those books, and as Pastor would say, eat the hand, leave the
I heard
sticks,
that before you said it.
because I realize I'm reading someone else's account and what their mind has interpreted of that particular experience. So I don't put my beliefs into everything that they're
Mm-hmm.
saying. However, when their words resonate with what I have discovered, then it's worth reading. It's worth listening to. So I won't say that I agree with everything that this young lady is saying. I won't say that I agree with everything that any of them are saying. But when I hear truth that I have already discovered, it gives me language to be able to relay to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So here she's saying, during my beyond, she calls it a beyond death experience, those closest to the vibrational level needed to merge back into source appeared to me to be serving other light beings in their own evolution. Consequently, one could say heaven is loving service to others. Ultimately, heaven is the state of knowing that we are literally part of source. Source meaning God, source meaning divine intelligence, source meaning the progenitor of all that is, God who is the progenitor of everything that ever is. And with that knowledge, once again achieving merger with source. In the words of one beyond death experiencer, this is what was said. If you keep going to the light, and I hate to use the word I again, but I went all the way to the Godhead. This is someone else's account. I went all the way to the Godhead. Boy, that's not even the right words. But anyway, I went to the place where I no longer exist as a separate entity. It's like a drop in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
You are totally dissolved. There is no separate consciousness. There is a vastness, and you are dissolved in whatever words we use for the Godhead.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is the final destination.
Mm-hmm.
So, heaven is that final destination,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which is God itself.
Yeah.
Now, Pastor Norman is saying something. He says, same as the interpretation of the writings of the scriptures. Yes, same thing. So there is no allegiance to any particular book, although we use the Bible as reference, because there are many who listen to us who need the Bible as proof, and not necessarily for us, but they need it.
Now, there are those who hear this, and this is from trial and error. We call it that in this dimension.
Mm.
I've tried to talk to certain people about certain things, and it didn't sit right.
Right.
And I thought it was because Uh, I was wrong. I didn't say it right. I was out of place, out of time, and all that stuff. But then after I went into it and investigated in it, Miss Annette, I found out that they were not supposed to receive that
Mm-hmm.
because somewhere in their sacred contracts in them, it was telling me not now.
Well, let's look at it even different, even more. So
Okay,
let's
let's
expand. Let's
expand it.
expand it.
Expand on it.
So what if this is a what if when we call this world an illusion or dream or whatever, it is simply an illusion and a dream because our minds have created an illusion that is not actual. But because we've created this so that we could manage and cope with life in the earth plane, some of us have entered into a place of being happy in our illusion and don't want to wake up
Don't
from
want to
it.
be disturbed.
Exactly. So it has nothing
He
to do
said-
with whether or not we're saying it correctly, whether or not it's time for them to wake up. It's because they're happy and at peace in their illusion. So we leave them there.
Now we understand why there's different denomination churches, and we were in a building next to a church, in a building in a place next to three churches, in a building next to a whole complex of churches.
Mhm,
And we used to think
mhm.
that everybody ought to get together and be one church. It won't
It's
work.
not going to happen.
It won't
It's
work.
not going to happen.
And that's duality. Yes, that's 3, 4, 5, and 10.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I understand now why they're 3, 4, 5, and 10, because everybody that go to school to transfer from the sixth, the elementary to junior high and then senior, they got that like that because some people are not ready for certain classrooms experiences based on their evolution, and everybody don't learn the same way
Well,
in the physical.
yeah, and school is a good example because
Yeah.
what we did in elementary school, we no longer did when we got to junior high.
Thank you.
Those each level had in it its own culture, its own culture, and even those who are seniors in high school, the teacher's responsibility should be to prepare them for college because when they leave high school, the lessons are not going to be, nobody's going to hold their hand. They're going to have to be very self-reliant. And so the culture is going to change. And then being in college and you get there should be a preparation for when I graduate from there because I'm no longer going to be in school.
Okay, here's something I found out last night about insight this morning about you and baby girl. Okay, about us and baby girl.
Okay.
When we found out what a labradoodle was, we had investigated into different what they call them, breeders. And we went to a place in Midway, North Carolina, right here close to us, because we found out that there was a lady that had poodles.
Take a chance puppies. And they had taken a chance on breeding labradoodles.
Yeah, and this is what we found out. With our dog, that dog our puppy was how old when we got her?
9 weeks.
9 weeks old. So she didn't have a chance to spend a lot of time with her mama.
Right, or her pack. Just barely, just a minimal amount of time.
So when we
never been outside.
Never been feeders, never been on the ground.
Never touched the ground.
Never touched the ground. So
she never experienced rain.
Never been in a car, no rain. Not anything, thunder, lightning, anything.
Grass. She hadn't experienced any.
So here we go. We go there, and there's a whole group of them running around. And we went there a couple of times because we were trying to determine should we pay a certain amount for the dog.
Should we get one?
Or should we get one?
Yeah.
Because we just lost one.
Just put
and we
one down.
had to decide.
Okay.
So here's my point now.
All right.
We brought that dog home. We set her down at the door of the garage, bringing it, and she was shaking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We brought her in, and she was shaking, and
It was a
she
whole nother world for her.
she did not know anything about any other lifestyle than us, and
Right.
what little bit that was natured into her as
Now, what she
body.
was comfortable with was being in a room where there was a TV playing because that's what they had been doing with them,
Yeah,
and that's where they kept them in a
yeah.
room where they just
And
kind of
and
ran
what
around,
what was
and they had
so
a TV playing
yeah, and
constantly.
what was so pretty was what was baby girl's original name?
Priscilla.
Priscilla. And we didn't like that, so we changed it.
Yeah.
Just changing sound vibration. That's all we did. And
Yeah.
we brought that rascal home, and we had to learn her system. And we were told years ago that the dog is trained, but we are not.
Yeah.
So we are
We
conditioned.
we had to train ourselves.
Yeah, we are
how to take care of
conditioned
her.
finite and all that,
Mhm.
and they are conditioned.
Right. But yeah, she's a good example of how we feel when we wake up
That's it.
into these marvelous expanded
Yeah,
awareness dimensions and things, because she, like you said, had never touched the ground. She hadn't been outside of the house. So the first time she saw grass, she shook.
yeah,
The first time she saw rain, she shook.
yeah.
She was terrified. She didn't know
And
what it
certain
was.
sounds down like the fireworks and
But she was in a whole different dimension.
yeah,
And so that's what happens to us when we leave the familiar arity and move into a dimension where it's more vast and there's other things to experience. A lot of us get shaky. We get really afraid, and we don't know. And our church belief systems have in some ways protected us from being afraid, but those beliefs have also limited our experience. So we've been taught to be afraid of everything. And she had been conditioned, and we didn't even know it. So we had to recondition her mind, her animal mind. We had to recondition her animal mind. That's what has to happen to us. Now that we're in a new dimension, in a whole different world of infinity, our mind has to be reconditioned to be able to feel comfortable and be all right in it.
And I think I told some of you about her being upstairs in the morning when I wake up around 3 or 4. I came downstairs and here where we are in the room, and I decided to run some tests on her hearing.
Okay.
And I sit here and I decided to call her with a soft voice, real soft. Then I found out that what they are used to is the frequencies of the sound that's made. So I said real low. I called her and I got down to a whisper and I sat there and I waited. After a while, I heard something go kaboom. She jumped off the bed. She come to the landing upstairs. There's 2 of them, 3 of them really. And she stopped and I waited. And when she walked on the floor, you can't hear her. But I looked and I just sat there and waited. Sometimes she'll do that and she'll catch me off guard and look up and there she's standing there.
Right.
But my point is that you became her mother.
Yeah.
I became her daddy.
Yeah.
Even though we saw
We
her
became
mother
her
and father,
pack. We
her
became
parent,
her
and her
pack.
pack. That's what it is, her pack.
And so she began to establish who's the alpha in the
Yeah,
pack.
and
Yeah.
she'll come to you, but in a way that she don't come to me.
Exactly. But now let's go on back to our subject.
But our subject here is about the changes that are made as we move further in to this spiritual awakened reality.
When you're seeing life through different eyes, you can sometimes feel as if you are alone because you see things that others may not see. And your response to life will be different than the way the average person would respond. I wanted to mention what Sinette said. She said, everyone has their own path.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is to live your life to the fullest. All that is asked is that you unfold your unique self. Do what makes you happy and help others when they knock on your door. That's a very good philosophy, Sinette. Very good philosophy. In fact, that exactly what Nancy Dennison mentions in her book. She says that's the actual goal for us as light beings when we wake up, is to enjoy this life and to live it to the fullest. So I agree with your philosophy. So true. And Pearl also agrees with that. Yes. Yes, it's very good. And so here we are with this newfound way of seeing life, not as an animal or small me trying to make it through this tough world.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times when the mind will jump back into, this is such a terrible world. But the reason it's a terrible world is because we're caught up in an illusion. When the illusion fades, when you begin to see truly the reality, there is no bad world. There is no bad world. There are simply roles that are being played,
Mm-hmm.
roles being played, and contracts being fulfilled, sacred contracts being fulfilled, people playing parts, roles for us, for our own evolution. So when we have encounters that are negative, and when we have arguments, when we have fights with other people, or someone's really nasty to us, those are the times that we should take a step back and realize, as a light being, it's not just some evil entity that hates me. That is the belief that we carried from Christianity. There's a devil out to get me. That is not what's happening. What is happening is there is something in us that we're not willing to see.
Yeah.
And they are pulling it out. And
Yeah.
you'll keep experiencing it until you see what it is you're missing.
The missing mystical, or the mystical that is no longer hid, surfaces automatically. There are so many none doing. Uh, it's like,
I thought of something.
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
of
Go
something.
ahead. Go
When
ahead.
you mentioned that you went to UPS the other day.
Mhm.
My stomach's sick. It's making noises. You went to UPS the other day, and the young lady who was in behind the counter, who normally would be very cordial
Jovial.
and polite to and
To,
courteous to
and
the
that's to all
customers.
customers. Uh-huh.
You went, and of course you're so jovial. You're just out
How you
there.
doing? Good morning.
Yeah, and you want to make everybody feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize that this young lady was in such a state.
Oh, and she was working.
And she could not even be polite. She could not even respond to you.
And that was her part of her saying, I am not ready to talk. I don't want to talk to anybody if I don't have to.
Now, as a animal creature, you would begin to think, well, she's not being nice to
me. Don't take it personal, but that's what I did.
She's not being nice to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to make her feel better. Mm-hmm. And at that moment, the light part of us, the light being, would think this way. Whatever she's going through, she won't respond because she feels like she's not being heard. Mm-hmm. She, at that point, would relate more to a person that says, man, this is a rough day. She would relate to that person better than she would a person who was upbeat. Mm-hmm. Because she wants to be heard and seen. So it's looking through the eyes of what that other person is going through, not taking everything personally, because it's not about you. It really is not about you. Mm-hmm. And so everyone doesn't respond to this. Everybody's happy. Everybody doesn't respond to that. So we cannot be monotone, in the sense that we're the same all the time with everybody, because everybody's different. And so people will surprise you. Sometimes they'll be really, really nice, and sometimes they won't. because of what they're going through personally or whatever their conditionings have been. So it's up to us as light beings to begin to look through that facade to see what's really going on in that person's heart.
A little note I wrote here: the non-doing, a definition in one way is called, we call it effortless doing.
Mm, mm,
The
mm,
no effort, effortless
mm.
action.
Okay.
The no effort, effortless actions. Observe with discernment, detachment, and observation, and discover your natural state of the eternal being, none doing self.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I wrote those pieces down, fragments.
mm-hmm.
The none doing is another, is called, the none doing is, we call it effortless doing.
Okay.
It's like doing it in the present moment without projecting the next hour or the next minute. Doing the none doing, effortless doing, the no effortless actions.
Okay.
Observe, key, observe with discernment, detachment, and observation. And as in observation, watching, noticing,
Mm-hmm.
finding out who's the watcher and the observer, and discover your natural state, or the natural state of your eternal self, eternal being. So now we're finding out that arguments is to not to be fed with what that argument is made out of,
Mm-hmm.
but stepping back into the state of observation. Here it is again. We're watching a football game. We are pulling for our team to win. We either sitting at the bar or got a house full of people around watching the game. When our team look like it's going to score, something on the inside down through the front part of the solar plex step in.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to watch my uncle watching the Highway Patrol series back when I was little. He would be sitting there, and I hear him grunting. He'd be watching the television, helping
Trying to help them.
the Highway Patrol catch the crook. We do that. We're doing that 24/7, and it becomes
Yes.
habit.
Yes. And as a matter of fact, what we do when we meet people,
Yeah,
we have an expectation of how they're supposed to respond to us.
that is another form of stress. That is another form of out of body travel with conscious mind watching.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is another thing of leaving your body, split identities,
Yeah.
split consciousness,
Yes. Yeah.
and we get into it. This stuff we're talking about,
It's good.
it's
good.
it's called every day. It's
every day.
every day.
Yes. And Pearl said this, and I like what she said. She said, "What if she had to play that role?" This young lady we're talking about, to see if I would be pulled into that energy or stay centered
Oh
in
God!
peace and
Yes,
harmony.
yes.
Mhm,
I know it,
mhm,
Miss Pearl. Be
mhm,
careful, or you're gonna say something good in a minute,
mhm, mhm.
and you already
Mhm.
did.
So it's our practice ground.
Oh,
Earth is our school. It's our school. So everything is every day and every incident is our practice
but
ground.
I do respect. I have to respect the space.
Sure.
I have to
Sure.
respect
Sure.
them. So when I go in again, first thing that come to mind, I ain't going there no more. I go to, if I'm gonna take a package back, I'm gonna go to some other place.
But it might be the same thing. It might be
See?
the very same thing. Sinette says, effortless. I love it. Let the flow unfold itself as it is. Yes.
I mean, it is, and I'm sitting there watching it, and some of this stuff I turn my head away from, and I wait. I know. I remember when we used to take Denise Shelley, your sister's daughter,
Mm-hmm.
to the movies, and when something was real gross on the film, instead of her covering her eyes up and
She
dropping
would
her head,
cover her ears.
she covered her ears up, and her eyes still be looking.
Because the sound would make you feel it even more.
Yeah, it's the sound is attached to a movement, and a movement
Yeah,
attached
yeah,
to a feeling,
yeah.
and a feeling that attached to a imagination, and imagination attached to um, a pain or a suffering or a joy or up and a down and a sad moment and a joyful moment. Oh Lord,
Mm.
she finally grew. I like to see that little girl. I hadn't seen her in a month.
She's a little girl, all right.
Yeah,
She's
but
30,
she's
what,
30,
32, 30
32.
something.
Yeah, but I'd say little girl. When I came home after surgery, the bariatric surgery, they had to cut all my beard off, hair off my face. And when I got out of the car, and she was standing at the door because she was keeping baby girl for
Yeah,
us.
she was watching baby girl.
And it shocked me. She broke and
Yeah,
cried.
she cried. She cried. She cried like a baby when she saw your beard was gone, because she's never seen him without a
Yeah,
beard.
because when she was born.
He's had his beard forever.
Yeah.
Since she was born.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here we go.
So
and the kids at church used to reach up and pull chunks of her out of it.
Yeah.
But
we were talking last night about 3 in the morning.
Yeah, this morning.
That this is a shadow world. This is a shadow world.
Yeah.
And a world of delusions and illusions that were created by our minds, our mental activity.
This is the world of Beetlejuice.
Oh, that's
yeah,
true.
Yeah.
Our mental activity has created this illusionary world. And some of us have our personal illusionary world. And what I feel and see and think in this bubble, totally different from what he sees and feels and thinks in his bubble. And when the bubble dissolves or bursts, and you come out of that illusion, then you realize there's nothing really against you, that the universe is friendly.
We take this deep breath.
Mm-hmm. Pearl said it. She said, and she's been saying it, that we taught this. And Pearl, I have to agree with you. I didn't realize that we have been saying these things for so many years until I went back last night and listened to those CDs from 2008.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And realized even then we had been teaching this way before then.
God, this is something.
And it was really, really remarkable to listen to ourselves.
Yeah.
And hear that we have actually been teaching this. So our message has been the same. Marvita says this: those encounters are like a pop quizzes that you take in school to see how we will respond. Yeah. And those situations prepare us for exams. As we are faced with exams, we either elevate to the next level or repeat the assignment in a different form with a different soul contract to assure we get it. Yes, ma'am. That's exactly right.
I saw a gathering of people on YouTube having a revival. Wasn't a revival. It was a season. They have seminars and teach different speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And
the
convocations.
Uh-huh.
And some of them was as the teacher, the main speaker would touch them, they would laugh and fall all over each other and run around the church. And I looked at that, and I used to hear the old saints say, that's the Spirit of God. And then I run across this thing called the Kundalini energy, the energy centers. And we use all kinds of words to try to describe what cannot be worded.
What we don't understand. All
we know is that we drop the seed in the ground, and what's in the ground germinates or not germinate the seed. All seeds that fall into the ground don't come or germinate at the same time.
True.
So now we understand why I thought if I planted a garden, I didn't have to do anything, just throw the seed out there. But then I saw my aunt and uncle going on through the rows and de-weed them.
Yeah.
So now these people that we run into, Sinette, thank you, Miss Pearl, all of you. It is so real. Your comments are coming to us. It is so real what you're saying.
And that again, I want to say is one of the things that we said in that session we had back in 2008 is that based on our sacred contracts, all of us had to be born at a certain time,
and then experienced that many times.
And our contracts had to be intertwined in order for us to meet here right now at 5 till 11.
We've experienced so many times of leaving and coming in these stories.
And so you're written into my contract. I'm written into yours.
Yeah, you know.
We all are written into each other's contracts, and never really realized that this is not coincidence, but it has been pre-planned for us to play roles to one another.
You're my contract girl.
I know. And so Sinette says, when giving peace and harmony to your brother, you will also receive peace and harmony. So you help the other and help yourself being centered. Yes. Abso-darn-lutely.
I'll see you. What's it?
Oh, Lord, baby.
I see you. I see you.
So embrace your shadow self and say this with me. Say this with me.
What was that?
Baby girl.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
I embrace the shadow of myself, the darkest side of me. This dark was created by my life experiences. I should not hate it, but I should use it to understand and forgive others of their behavior, which is spawned by their conditionings and evidence that they are in pain in their illusion. I will not compare myself to others. I will not imitate others. I will not borrow from their conditioning. I absolutely accept myself and embrace my faults and shortcomings as signposts to point me to what I really am. I receive myself just as I am. And so it is. And so it is.
Okay.
Good session.
We
Good
session.
Did it. Amen and amen.
You guys have really been absolutely
good session.
Marvelous. Marvina.
Marvina.
Thank you for tuning in to us again today on Sunday. We'll be back again on Tuesday at 7.
Sure will.
And Pastor Norm will be with us at 12:30 on Thursday.
And if he's in town.
But in the meantime,
he's a road runner too.
Back at the ranch, which we are at the ranch now.
Mm-hmm.
Stay with us. We thank you for the help that you've given and assisted us with your finances.
By all means, we do thank you.
And we appreciate what comes in the mail and what comes at the door. Any way it comes is okay with me.
Kathy says, Pastors, that is why you came back to me in thought so I could continue to wake up. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you so much, sweetheart.
Bless you. You just touched my heart, sweetheart.
Yeah. We cherish your comments. We cherish your encouragement. We need that because sometimes we doubt whether or not we're making a difference.
We know what it is doing that.
We doubt that we're making a difference sometimes. Yes. And so it helps to hear that from those of you who have been changed by some of the things that we've said. And hopefully not just by what we've said, but by our example as well. So And yesterday, I wanted to say this before
Mhm.
I get off today. You know, you and I have talked about going back into the brick and mortar and what do we need to do anything differently and all of that.
It is crazy. I'm sitting here inside having this conversation that you are outwardly conversating.
Okay. And so last night, my final time taking baby girl out, a lot of times I'll do a little prayer while I'm outside with her, looking up into the stars, knowing that God is not up there, but it just makes me feel that closeness. And I said, you know, I assumed that this would be the way we would continue.
Mhm.
I assumed that we would have uh, other online experiences. I assumed that even that we might get in a building.
Mhm.
I assumed so many things, and I realized that I had to surrender all of those things because I have no clue. I am walking in a place of uncertainty by faith that God is using whatever we do.
Mhm.
And so I surrendered it so that I could receive the unfoldment of it.
And that's something. That's
Hmm.
great. That's
Hmm.
great.
Hmm.
Again, the blessings of the presence is automatically working in
Yeah.
all of you guys' life. Thank you for the special blessings that you've given us
Hmm.
with the gift of beingness of your presence.
And those of you who are local cornerstoners, please don't forget to send your tithes and your offerings to Cornerstone, which is still a virtual church and needs your contributions. And it's a 501c3, so you know you get that back for your that statement for your taxes if you're interested in that. If you want to give to Cornerstone, you can text CLC Greensboro to 73256, or you can use paypal.me/cornerstone35, or you can go to the website, the Cornerstone Life Center, hit the donate button, and it'll automatically give you the whatever you need to do to make the donation. That's what I do. I use the website, and then of course you can mail it to PO Box 36259, Greensboro, North Carolina 27416. And Pastor and I, you can give directly to us through Cash App $A Sawyer C. Some of you have used the paypal.me/ACE Sawyer 72. So either way is good. And we thank you for honoring us with your substance. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
And let's see here. Kathy is saying to please read her testimony. If I have it, Kathy, I'll read it. You're going to have to show it to me, darling. Send it to me by email or something, so that I'll know, so that I can have a chance to read it. Then Janet Relihan, I don't think I've seen you on here before, Janet. Thank you for tuning in to us. She
Thank
said, you
you.
are definitely making a difference to me. I'm grateful I tuned into this today. Bless both of you. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you so
Leslie.
much. And continue to watch,
Mhm.
please. Continue to watch. Leslie, thank you, sweetie pie, for the gift you sent in the mail this weekend. That was very timely, and we appreciate it so much. And we're praying for you and your family, your dad, and all of you guys. And Leslie says, no building. We're the building.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I take that into consideration, but I still have to surrender to whatever God wants for us to do.
And thank you.
And it will
Thank you for the
unfold. And until
encouragement.
then, we'll keep doing what we're doing, Leslie. So don't worry. You're not going to be left out. And we will be back again, as you said, on Tuesday at 7
Yep.
for live class. Live
Yep.
class.
Yep.
So we love you. Have a wonderful Sunday, a beautiful Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you next time.
See you later. See you soon.
Bye, boys and girls.
Bye bye.